There are several new developments to tell you about now regarding investigations into former President Donald Trump. The January 6th committee is interviewing longtime Trump aide Hope Hicks. Hicks was reportedly included on text messages and emails about the president's speech the day of the insurrection before rioters stormed the Capitol. The committee has subpoenaed Donald Trump to testify in mid-November, and a final report is expected by the end of the year. Now, the Justice Department is trying to force two former White House lawyers to testify in the January 6th probe. According to CNN, the DOJ is looking for more information from Patrick Philbin, who you see there on the left of your screen, also Pat Cipollone, who's on the right. The two men served as top attorneys to former President Trump, and Trump has cited attorney-client privilege and executive privilege to prevent them from testifying. In a taped interview, President Trump bragged about new U.S. nuclear weapons, and he told journalist Bob Woodward that the Russian and Chinese leaders had not heard about them. The interview is part of an audiobook called The Trump Tapes, and it contains 20 interviews Woodward conducted with Trump. Woodward said he is surprised that Trump bragged about nuclear weapons. And we are following a developing story right now involving former President Trump's former chief of staff, Mark Meadows. A South Carolina judge has ruled that Meadows does have to testify before a Fulton County, Georgia grand jury investigating allegations of tampering in the 2020 election. Paul Rosenzweig joins us now, and he is the founder of consulting company Red Branch Consulting, also a senior professor of law at George Washington University. Paul, thank you so much for your time today.
Thanks for having me.
So, Paul, we just laid out several investigations there involving Trump, but we want to focus on the one containing classified documents seized at Mar-a-Lago, because there is this school of thought that the investigation is proceeding on two separate tracks, a public track and then also a private track. Why is this, and how much of the investigation is open to the public?
Well, the reason that there's such a openness to the public, of course, is that a lot of the president's resistance to the subpoenas has happened in public. And thus, we have the special master proceedings. We have his petition in front of the 11th Circuit now. And so there's a lot of visibility. And then, of course, there's the obvious public nature of the search itself. They weren't going to search Mar-a-Lago in secret. But what's happening behind the scenes is equally important, if not more important. There's a grand jury in Washington, D.C. that's hearing evidence. Just the other day, one of the president's key advisors, Kash Patel, took the Fifth, pled the Fifth Amendment prohibition against self-incriminating testimony to avoid trying to testify. And that sort of thing, which is happening behind the scenes, is probably a lot more significant than what's happening in the public.
Yeah, which is, I mean, it makes perfect sense. And the DOJ, in the meantime, reportedly wants to question a Trump associate again, who was seen on surveillance video moving these boxes of classified documents. So, again, outside of that, things have been pretty quiet in this investigation. But it makes it seem as though it's not that important. It's not really a big deal. How big a deal is this? I mean, how many laws could have been broken here?
Well, the reason this is all quiet is that this is sort of the quiet before the storm, if you will. The investigation is proceeding. DOJ tradition doesn't act in the run-up to an election, so we shouldn't expect anything to happen in the next 2 weeks that's public. As for how big a deal it is, it seems like it's quite a big deal. The president had not just classified information, but some of our nation's most critical secrets about, apparently, if the public reports are to be believed, are spies in Iran and in China. And those are the sorts of things that, the disclosure of which gets people killed. And if anybody other than President Trump had those documents in his possession at his home and had refused to return them, they'd already have been arrested.
Yeah, so in this Mar-a-Lago search, you're saying many classified documents were found in Trump's home, and you're saying some of our nation's most critical secrets. How dangerous could this be to our national intelligence?
Well, it's a danger in two regards. The first, of course, is that it's an immediate danger to the people who are helping us in Iran or in China, who are at risk. Secondarily, it's a danger because it tells our adversaries what it is we know and how we know it. So disclosure of these publicly would inform the Chinese, for example, of how it is we come by information about their nuclear secrets. And tertiarily, thirdly, the fact that the president is so cavalier about disclosing these secrets is a risk factor in the long term. I mean, who wants to have an unfaithful boyfriend? Who wants to have an unfaithful intelligence service that doesn't protect the secrets of your assistance to them? It will diminish our ability to secure human intelligence in the future simply because of the fact that we now are demonstrating a lack of seriousness of purpose in keeping the secrets that we've had in the past.
Yeah, and these are all great points that you're making. Take us through the process of handling top secret or classified information. Is there some sort of protocol that has to be followed? For example, if you review documents, you must return them immediately after. Take us through the protocol and whether or not any protocol was broken here.
Well, the easy answer is lots of protocols were broken. The process is set out in executive orders and regulations. When information is gathered and created, it is classified. Sometimes it's classified secret, sometimes it's classified top secret, sometimes it's classified above top secret. And the classification is done by an original classifying authority who has a delegated authority to determine what the level of classification is. Depending upon that level of classification, the degree and extent of the security around those documents varies. For example, for the most highly classified secure compartmented information, or SCI, distribution is limited to a very limited number of people who can access that type of information. Typically, they can only access it in secure facilities that are cut off from the rest of the world with no in or out of information. Typically, they're not allowed to make copies. They're not allowed to take notes. Or I, for example, when I was in government, I had a notebook that I had to leave locked in a safe in a secure facility, and I could only access that notebook in that facility where I could take notes about things I had written. Ultimately, the transportation of that outside the secure facility to someplace like the president's, home in Mar-a-Lago is controlled as well. It usually happens in secure containers. You have the old image of a guy with a wrist, with a briefcase tied to his wrist, sort of thing, and it has to then be stored in another secure facility, which of course Mar-a-Lago was not. So the level and degree of violation of traditional understanding of how to handle this information pretty high for the president.
All right, Paul, we're out of time, but before we let you go, yes or no, how do you think this ends for the former president? Will he be indicted?
Nobody made money predicting things like that, but if I had to bet, I think he will be indicted.